Hello once again, it's Matthew here from Matthew Northern Music. Thank you for watching my channel. And as I always say, if you like the kind of videos I make, be them about electronics, music, retro tech, or anything else, please hit the subscribe button. It really does help the channel to grow. And if you click the little bell icon, then you'll be notified each time there's a new video. Now today, I've got something here. You can't see it yet, but I'll show you what came with it. These are the floppy disks, and as you can see, it's a complete set of discs for this piece of equipment. And we also get the manual, and the manual is, you know, in nice condition. Always nice to have a proper manual for a piece of kit. But we can't do anything with that yet because we have a little problem with the main device. Now, this thing here is this. It's an Akai S2000 Sampler. This came out around about 1995, so really it's virtually brand new. But you might see that the little button is missing off the floppy disk drive. And if I do this, yep, you can hear there's a bit of metal rattling around. Now, when I bought this, and I bought this off someone via Facebook Marketplace yesterday, he said to me that it was working, but he's powered it up and it wasn't working. And the fact there's a bit of metal floating around and he actually had it plugged into the mains, well, I mean, this thing could have easily blown up. So thankfully it didn't. But what we're going to do with this, we're going to get it out into the shed and we're going to take the top off and we're going to see what we're dealing with. Now, there's always a theory as to why something's gone faulty. My theory is this. Maybe that broke and a previous owner may have tried to get the disc out and they might have tried pushing something inside. That may have flicked off the top cover of the disk drive, and that's the bit of metal that's floating around inside. But we shall see. First thing we need to do is we need to get the cover off this sampler. Got two screws on the top. And we've got two screws on the bottom. Have we got any on the back? Yeah, we've got one on the back as well. We'll get that out afterwards. Get these two out first. And the one on the back. Okay. Big reveal, let's get the top off. And would you know, we've got a disk drive cover. Fortunately, it looks like it's not gone anywhere near the power supply. And actually inside here it's pretty clean. I mean, it virtually looks like brand new. Now, there's our version 1.5 firmware there. Now, you can get off eBay a replacement EEPROM to change that, and then you don't need to boot off a floppy disk. However, I'm not going to bother with that because I like booting off a floppy. Now look, our floppy disk drive cable has been disconnected. Why has it been disconnected? No idea. Absolutely no idea. Could it be because whoever plugged it in the wrong way around? Maybe, because normally, don't you have pin 1 going closest to the power connector? That being said, this might have notches in the side. It's got a notch in the side, so actually that goes in like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to plug that in. We're going to plug our floppy drive cable back in. We're then going to stick some electric on this and we're going to see if it searches for the floppy disk drive. So let me just prop that on there and let's switch it on, see what happens. Well, it's looking for the system disk, so I'm going to go and get it. This is the disc then, the Akai S2000 system disk. Let's pop it in and see what happens. Oh, it's doing something. I think it's loading. Now, is it actually loading or... Right, I don't think this is very happy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till the disk has stopped activity. turn the power off. I'm then going to get the disc out by prodding that in there, and I'm then going to get another disc drive and we're going to try again. Now, you may have seen this floppy disk drive on a number of videos beforehand. This is one that I used on an old 8088 machine that I had. Actually, no, it was a V20, wasn't it? It was the Opus PC, which is why it's still in its 5¼ inch frame. But this also works very well on a BBC Master as a floppy drive, and one of my future videos is I'm going to install a 1770 floppy drive controller into a BBC B, and this drive will probably go in it, although saying that, it might end up going in this sampler if it works. Right, so I've stuck a different drive in. I'm going to pop the disc in and we'll switch on and we'll just see what happens with this one. It's sounding a lot better. However, if this doesn't load, that may suggest that the system disk is actually... Nope, there we go. Operating system, it's loaded up. So that's all good. So we know what the problem is. We know that this floppy drive here doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this drive and I'm going to fit it inside the sampler. So let's take the disc out and put it to one side, turn the power off, unplug from the mains, and we'll swap the drives over. Now, this drive appears to be held in place via 4 screws here. So we're going to take these out. And I've got to say, the old electric screwdriver that I got from, where was it? Lidl, Parkside Tools, is actually giving me very good service. And I hardly ever need to charge the battery up on this thing. It just seems to go on for ages, which is fantastic. So let's get this out now. It's feeling loose, so hopefully it'll just come out. Right, there we go. That's our disk drive, and it's a shame it doesn't work. I mean, it does make me wonder if it just needs a clean or something. I mean, it is just a bog standard floppy drive, so you know, I might do something with it. I'm not going to throw it away because, you know, why throw away something that potentially could work? I mean, all that's really missing is the little button there, but we could easily make something to replace that. So how's this fitted in? Well, we've got 4 screws here on the bottom of the drive. So let's move that. Is that going to stay stable? Yeah, it'll be all right. So we've got these 4 screws here. So we've got to take these out. Oh, maybe not like that. Pretty tight, actually. I think these might have had. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. I just knew it. Okay, let's move that out of the way. Right. Start again. Let's get these out. Hopefully I'll find all the screws for this as well, because it's going to be a nuisance if I don't. Right, that's off. There's our drive. Let's take this one out of here. Funnily enough, how's this fixed in? Oh, this has got some screws in the side. Let's take those out. And we've got 2 on this side. There we go. And here's our drive. I'll just stick that over here. Right, now there's our plate that fits to the case. I'm just going to check that it's the right way around. Yeah, that goes that way. So the floppy drive goes on like this. And we've just got to line our holes up like that. Then we need our 4 screws to go back in. So we'll pop those in. Ugh. There we go. Now, where's our screws for holding it into the case? There's one's gone flying off somewhere. And there's one here. That's the one off the back. There's two more that have gone flying. This is the problem, you see. You know, I've got all these useful things for keeping screws in safe places, like my House Studios parts tray. And guess what? I didn't use it. If I put everything in there to start with, we wouldn't be stuck here. So just give me a minute. Actually, I've just put the original drive back together, and look, there's a screw missing from there where the top cover was on. So somebody had taken the cover off. They probably tried cleaning the heads and they didn't get any joy out of it. So I'm thinking this drive might well be duff. Well, 3 of the 4 screws have turned up to hold it on the bottom, and I found all the others, so you know, that'll do. So let's get this in place. I'm actually going to use a normal screwdriver for the first one, because I just want to make sure everything actually lines up properly, and it's a lot easier to do with a normal screwdriver rather than an electric one. So we pop that in like this, give it a little shuffle, and there we go. That's in place. Not doing it too tight because I want to line up the one in the diagonal corner so that both sides are balanced, and yeah, that's in. And we'll put our last screw in, or bolt I should say, and then I will find the other one. It's going to be around here somewhere, but yeah, let's pop that in. Move my parts tray with all my nuts and bolts over to here, safely out the way. Let's plug in our floppy drive. No, that's in now. Yeah, that's all lined up. That's good. Just get our little power lead in now, which I should have probably put in first, to be honest, but it probably doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Let's get that in. Is that the right way around? Yeah. There we go, that's all in place now. So let's give this another test. Now, I never ever see the point in putting the cover on something until you know 100% that it's working. So we'll pop our disc in, we'll switch our power on, and we'll just see if it boots. And it's certainly sounding promising. I mean, I suppose really, even in the 90s, it does seem a bit weird that you had to boot a piece of hardware with a floppy disk. But I suppose because they updated the systems and things that, but yeah, everything's there now. You know, that was probably the easiest way to do it. Now, one thing I need to learn to do first is how to make a backup of the system disk, because obviously if your system disk is corrupted or gets damaged, then you can't use your sampler. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to do, and then we're going to try and make some sounds with this. So we'll get this into the studio and see what we can come up with. Okay, well, here's the thing. In my band called All Living Fear, and if you've not heard of us before, give us a little look up on the internet. We're on Bandcamp, we're on Spotify, we're everywhere. And if you like sort of 80s, 90s sounding gothic rock music, take a listen, you might like it. Anyway, in our band, All Living Fear, we've got a little WhatsApp group, and it's fair to say that it's become more a chat group about what bits of gear we've acquired lately, rather than when we're going to rehearse and do our next gig. Anyhow, I posted on the WhatsApp group a photo of the sampler and said, look what I've just got. And Andy, the singer, said to me, does it have the 32 megabyte memory upgrade? Well, when I had the top off it, I noticed there were some Sims chips in it, and I assumed they were the basic memory. Anyhow, I did some research this afternoon about these samplers, and it turns out it has an internal 2 megs on the board, and then the Sims is extra. So I've just whipped the top off, and we're going to have a little look inside. Now, you can see I've taken out one of the Sims chips, and I can tell you they're both the same. And they've got a little label. Now, you probably can't see that, but if I stick a magnifying glass, you might be able to see it better. But either way, it says it's 32 megabytes. So that would mean we've actually got 64 megabytes of RAM inside this sampler, which I think is actually pretty good. And certainly, you know, a lot more than I thought we would have. And what that does mean is if you're going to use this in its full potential, then you really need either something like an iOmega zip drive or an external hard drive for this, because obviously 32 megabytes, that's several minutes of audio. I mean, you've got about 3 minutes of stereo audio or 6 minutes of mono audio. And if you halve the bandwidth, then you've got even longer. So, you know, that's a lot of time you've got on here. But as it is, the only storage we have is floppy disk. So we're going to be limited to what we can store on here. But anyway, let's get this thing fired up and let's have a little go on it. So I was doing some more digging around the internet and I found this website earlier. I was doing some digging on the internet and I found this website. Now, this website appears to have the updated software for this sampler, the version 2. And it also has a link to a program where you can make a boot disk. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the software, which I will save to, funnily enough, a folder on a compact flash card. And then we've got this thing called teledisk that writes the image. So we're going to click on there. And I don't know which version to use. I'm just going to go for, say, this one here, 2.1. And that's down here. And it says insecure download, but I'm going to keep it. There we go. And so this is teledisk. So I'm going to copy all of this. And I'm going to stick it in the same folder as the Akai sampler. Now, for some reason, it hasn't downloaded the file. Let me just try that again. It might be that it's doing this thing where it says it's not safe. No, that's okay. It's going in there. So we've got the disk image and we've got this software. Now, to write the software, you need a DOS PC. So what am I going to do now? I'll tell you. And of course, the reason that I copied it to a compact flash card is because it's the compact flash card that is actually the hard drive in my 486 PC. And if you've not seen the video about this computer, I've made a video all about this machine. And it works very, very well. It does everything I want it to do, and with great gusto. So I'm just waiting for it to boot up. For some reason, I've not been able to get the CD-ROM drive to work properly, but that's just going to be down to settings. So if I go to CD Akai, and there we have all of our software. Now, I think what I need to do is to type in teledisk and then the name of the image, and then we put a formatted floppy disk in and it writes the image to the disk, but in the Akai format. So I'm just going to go and get a disk. Now, most of my retro computers use 720k disks, but this sampler uses 1.4 megabyte disks. So I'm going to use one of these to format the disk with. So let's pop the disk in the drive. And let's hope I get the syntax right. So it's teledisk. And then it's S2KOS2.TD0. Let's see what happens. Press the space bar to continue. Enter. A drive. Enter destination file name. That was what we had already, and I've already forgotten what it was. So I'm just going to have to go and double check. And it was S2KOSTDO. So S2KOS2TD0. Already exists. Press Y to overwrite, or any other keys. Y to overwrite. Oh, I think I've made a mistake here. I actually think I've made a total mistake here. I'm actually overwriting that file with what's on this. I'm going to escape out of this. Copying disk to file. Copy file to disk. That's what I want to do. Enter source file name. Okay. I'm hoping it's not overwritten it, but it might have done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the card out and I'm going to recopy the file across, and then we'll start again. Now, fortunately, part of the joy of having everything on a compact flash card is it's very quick to copy across. Now, if I had been using, for example, my other machine, that I would either have to copy the software onto a floppy and then copy it into the machine and blah, 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 or use fast links. Whereas this way, it's just much easier. So I'll go to CD Akai. And if we go to Teledisk, and I won't put anything else in there, I'll just type in Teledisk. Right, copy file to disk. Then the file name is S2KOS2, S2KOS2.TD0, TD0. Press any key to continue. Oh, the disk is right protected, or it's not in there. Right, so now it's writing the disk image. So fingers crossed this might work. Now, if this does work, what it means is that I'm going to make a few of these and I will use these as my system disks rather than the one that came with the sampler. Although there is an option within the menu to make a backup of the system disk. So I will do that at a later date and back it all up. But if this disk works, then I'm just going to use this for the time being because it means I'm not touching any of the others. So we'll just let this rattle on and I'll probably hit the speedy uppy. All done, press any key. Right, I'm going to take the disk out of the computer now. Here's our disk. Let's pop it in the sampler, see if it works. Okay then, let's pop our disk in and switch on and see if it boots up. Well, it certainly seems to be making the right noises. And there we go, operating system 2. And it feels to me like it actually loaded a lot quicker than the 1.5 operating system, which is good. And it's come up with a test program, so that's good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little go and see if we can get it to sample something. Okay, well, I've got a guitar plugged in here. And you might be able to hear there's a horrible buzzing noise. It's really nasty, and I don't know why it's doing that, but go exit. If I go sample, length, threshold. I think press play, press arm. Type mono, hang on. Type mono, stereo, go mono. Length. Bandwidth, 20k. I think that's its name, and you can sort of type in a name. Length, threshold mono, original pitch, threshold, arm, about to record, go. And if I play it back, it's making this horrible staticky noise. So I'm going to take the top off and I'm going to see if there's any kind of loose connections or anything that shouldn't be there. Okay, I am wondering if it might be something to do with the software. So what I'm doing is I'm loading in the old software, which is version 1.51. And if I hit sample now, name I'm okay with, length I'm okay with, mono, yeah, original pitch, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not hearing the crackle. So if I go and then I sample what I'm doing, and I play it back. Right, so for some reason the version 2 software it doesn't like. So what I'm going to have to do with this now is I'm going to have to make some backups of the original system disk before I can use it. But that is something good to know. So if I play back my sample again, it's all working. So let's get a keyboard plugged in now and see if it will work over MIDI. Okay, well I've got my little Behringer swing, MIDI cable going into the back of the sampler. We've sampled a bit of guitar, so if I now press the keyboard and go to say a C, that's my original note that I played. But then if we move it down the neck, so there we have a very basic bit of sampling. And as I said, I've never really used a sampler before ever in my entire life. But if I knock the octaves down a bit, wow, it's really, really low there. So and that's really great. So yeah, it's all basically working. So let's just try something else. I'm going to plug in a keyboard and just sample the note of the keyboard, just because I can, really. So this is the world famous keyboard, otherwise known as the Lidl keyboard, which many of you may know me on this channel for this keyboard. And if I go into the sample mode again, so press sample, and if I just step through it, make the length a bit longer maybe, make it say 3 seconds, mono, original pitch C, and then threshold there, arm, and then, well, we don't want a piano sound because that's boring, but let's go to something random, maybe not that. So I'm going to use that sound there. So I'm going to keep it running while I sample. So I'll press that and I'll press the go button. And then I press the... That's now sampled that note. And if we then go to our keyboard here, we can go... sorry, let's go into the play mode. And there's our note. And that doesn't sound unlike the actual keyboard. So yeah, everything is tickety-boo. Now, as it turns out, the floppy disk that I used was corrupt to do the version 2 software. And I've now got another floppy disk, and the whole system now is working absolutely perfectly. And if on the version 2 software I go into sample, and I'll just step through everything, and click arm, got my guitar plugged in, I'm going to play a C chord, and there we go. And it's sampled it, in fact it sampled it automatically that way, which was really good. And if I then go to the keyboard, here's our original chord, I think. So yeah, all working. So what have I learnt from doing all this? Well, actually quite a bit. I've never worked on a sampler before, and in fact I've never used one really. I mean, I did own a sampler many years ago, but I just about managed to switch it on and I never really got any further with it. But what I've learned is that sometimes you need a mixture of modern and old technology to get where you want to get. Now, I have the manual for this, but I also downloaded the manual, and it's much easier to search through a PDF file to find what you want than flicking through loads of paper. And through that, I was able to dig through the menus and work out how to do things like back up the system disk, and indeed how to make a basic sample. Now, I also learnt that even though I thought I'd made a correct version 2 boot disk, it was actually corrupted. And actually, by getting another disk and making another boot disk, that boot disk worked fine. So, you know, technology is not perfect, and sometimes you will have issues with, particularly with magnetic media, particularly old magnetic media, and also that the floppy disks I was using, they were actually ones that were, I think, PC World own brand. They were called PC Line, and to be honest, they're not very good. Whereas the old, more robust blue 720k discs from the early 90s, they're much more solid, and I certainly prefer using them on computers. But we got there. We got the version 2 software to work. I was able to make a sample and play it back. That's all I wanted to do in this video. I will probably make another video where I will use the sampler a bit more musically and do something a bit more interesting with it. But it's been a good exercise. I'm really pleased that I've got something that I thought might not work or I might have issues with. Again, because I thought, reading up on Akai samplers, that they had their own proprietary floppy disk drive. As it turns out, this one was a later one, used an ordinary PC floppy drive. And apart from losing a screw, which I'll probably find at some point in the shed, everything's good. So thanks for watching this video. Hope you found it interesting. Links to the website that's got the driver disk and the software are in the description, and catch you on the next one.